Ladies and gentlemen, last night may have been the most dangerous moment of this entire war. According to multiple media reports, Iran fired a missile at a NATO base in Turkey. The same base where the United States is believed to store around 50 nuclear bombs. If that is true, it means that for the first time in this war, a location connected to American nuclear weapons was directly targeted. At the same time, new reports have appeared about an attack on a US aircraft carrier and about injured American soldiers who were evacuated to Germany. If all of this is accurate, then we may now be closer to a catastrophic escalation than ever before. Last night's incident was one of the most dangerous attacks of the entire Iran war. And this time it did not come from Israel or the United States. It came from Iran. The reason it is so alarming is because the reported target was a US military base where nuclear weapons are stored. Just think about that for a moment. A missile attack aimed at a location connected to American nuclear bombs could potentially push the entire conflict into an extremely dangerous direction. But before we look at that incident in detail, let's first talk about the situation with the US aircraft carrier. Yesterday, reports emerged that the aircraft carrier USS Gerald R caught fire, and at least 2 sailors were injured. Official sources quickly stated that the fire began in a laundry compartment and had nothing to do with combat operations. However, critics say that several unusual incidents have happened recently involving US military equipment. In recent days, there were reports of fighter jet crashes, accidents involving military aircraft, and now a fire on an aircraft carrier. Because of this, some commentators question whether all of these events are truly unrelated incidents. Now, there is also a new report about a confrontation involving a US warship and an Iranian vessel. According to US officials, an Iranian boat approached a US aircraft carrier group. American forces reportedly fired warning shots from a naval cannon, but failed to hit the vessel. Eventually, a helicopter launched 2 Hellfire missiles, which destroyed the approaching Iranian boat. What makes this story notable is that the incident reportedly occurred earlier in the week, at a time when officials said there had been no direct attacks on the US fleet. It also suggests that Iranian forces were able to approach relatively close to the carrier group, potentially gathering information about US defensive systems. But the most controversial report concerns the NATO airbase in Turkey. According to some reports, a missile was fired toward the Incirlik air base, located near Adana in southern Turkey. This base is extremely important because it is jointly used by Turkish and US forces and is believed to store around 50 US B-61 nuclear bombs as part of NATO's nuclear sharing program. The base also hosts roughly 5,000 American personnel and serves as a major hub for logistics and operations in the Middle East. If the reports about a missile targeting that base are accurate, it would represent a very serious escalation. There are 2 main interpretations being discussed. One possibility is that the strike was intended as a warning shot, signaling that Iran is willing to target highly strategic locations. Another possibility is that the situation is still unclear, and the reports may not fully reflect what actually happened. Either way, incidents involving locations connected to nuclear weapons are always extremely sensitive. Many analysts now argue that the conflict has reached a point where the risks of a major escalation are becoming increasingly real. And there is another development adding to the tension. Reports say the United States has evacuated wounded soldiers to Germany for medical treatment. According to sources cited by CBS News, about 19 injured US soldiers were flown to Germany, where they are being treated at the Landstuhl Regional Medical Center. Some of the reported injuries include traumatic brain injuries, memory loss, and concussions. Several dozen soldiers had already been evacuated earlier after attacks on US facilities in Kuwait. This situation highlights something analysts have warned about for years. Germany could become a major logistical hub for US military operations during large conflicts. So when you look at everything together, the situation is becoming increasingly tense. We have reports of missile strikes near NATO territory, confrontations involving US naval forces, and injured soldiers being evacuated across continents for treatment. The big question now is this: could NATO eventually be drawn directly into this war? Or will political leaders manage to prevent the conflict from escalating even further? Write your opinion in the comments below, and don't forget to subscribe if you want to stay updated on the latest developments.